So next up, I want to put some fillers in these two end panels here where the two drawers go. Right now, you can't put I'm using these slides. I'll go into those later when we hang the drawers. European slides. And there's a void here. We need to fill that void. What I've done is I've taken filler pieces. They're on the cut list, but there's two variables here. The width is really, it's not important. You can be kind of close, but this is not a critical. What you do want to make critical is the thickness of this piece, so it ends up being flush with these rails, with these legs here. So, and you'll have to adjust the length here so it will fit in between like that. Let's come in here and get a little closer look. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see it here, but I've put a chamfer along there, the top edge and the back edge. That's wherever this guy is going to meet with a corner, and he's going right up in there in the top. So he's got a corner here, here, and here. That's to make sure there's not any glue or crud that's going to mess up registration. This guy, both ends. That's where it meets in between the legs and that corner. Now, this guy, I've marked a pencil line, dead center. Over here, from the top of the leg down, 11 5/8. Line those two lines up. That's where I want that guy. Now you can see I've pre-drilled for screws here. Number 8, 1 1/8. I want 1 1/8. I don't want to have any possibility of going through this panel here. 1 1/8 might be difficult to find. I found them at McFeely's. You might find them somewhere else. So let's go ahead and attach these guys. Let me interrupt here. Note from future self, who is now doing the finishing demo. These filler pieces, there's one more. It goes right here. I was wrong. There's a lip right here. It has to be, you have to put a filler in here that meets flush with this. Same thing as this top one here. Back or bevel, chamfer 3 sides, goes up in there, full length, dead flush here. As I said before, I use the Libos Kunos Natural Oil Sealer, number 244. There's a couple reasons I use this stuff. There's other finishes that I was perfectly happy with, and if you've followed me in books and stuff like that, you know that I used other finishes. Those finishes are really good still, except they were making me sick. This stuff doesn't make me sick, low VOCs. And also, it's pretty user-friendly. It's kind of hard to screw this one up. I follow the instructions. Where I vary from the instructions say 1 to 3 coats. I do a minimum of 3 coats and as many as 5 coats, just however it builds. And the other thing I do, when I'm wiping off, I use compressed air to blow all the stuff out of the nooks and crannies. Now, when you're doing the top, 3 to 5 coats of the Kunos Clear Natural Oil Sealer. And this is its companion, the Kunos Countertop Oil, number 243. It has more protection. I put about another 2 coats on top of the 244 of this stuff, the 243, the countertop oil. So no, these are not the real drawer fronts, obviously. These are pieces I cut out of scrap plywood. I want to use them to verify the opening here. There's lots of things that could go wrong. Mortise could be put just slightly off, whatever. There's room for error. In a perfect world, theoretically, this would fit without even having to test it. But I've learned the hard way. Make sure you test stuff. There's a 16th inch reveal going all the way around here. I've got little pieces. These are little pieces of Padook that I cut out that are a 1/16 of an inch. I'm going to put these little spacer guys in and see where it all falls. Speaking of falling, that just fell. Okay. Also, if you're for a 16th inch reveal, these inset tooling cutters are almost exactly a 1/16. So when the cutters get worn out, I save them for spacers. And we are good. These are good too. Let's move in for a closer look on this one here. That's what I like to see. Nice even gap all the way around. So I've got a good fit. I can go back to the CNC now and cut these parts out for real. If you did not get a good fit, you have a couple options depending on whether you have a CNC machine or not. If you have a CNC and CAD capabilities, you've got the DXF file. You can go back into the CAD program, adjust the drawing to make it fit, go recut it out, you're good. If you got the template package, you should have a 1/2 inch extra on either end, so you can easily grow it, easy to shrink it, but you're going to be making a new template from the supplied template. It's easy to set this guy up on the new template and move it down or up to shrink or grow this end, but from the existing template, you can make a new one. Okay, to recap, we've had a successful fitting of the drawer fronts with these test pieces. So I went ahead and cut out the actual drawer fronts and test fitted them anyway, just to make absolutely certain, and they do fit. Now it's time to move on to the poles. I want to get the drawer fronts and the poles all done, because what's coming up next is I'm going to hang those drawer boxes and then mount the drawer fronts. I want to get them all finished. So there is two approaches to the poles. One is all CNC, and I will cover both. The poles are cut in two stages on the CNC. First, I run a bullnose 3/8 spiral, and that produces that little round over right there, and then it's a straight cutter up here. And it takes it took me 3 tries to get one that fits. It's got to fit into this recess right here. That one fits nicely. And to fit them, you probably know this if you have a CNC, you're going to play with the tool offset. You know, if it's too big or too small, you're add or subtract to the tool offset. I'm going to use Magasser ebony for the poles. They're going to be nice and stripy, nice stuff. The non-CNC pole will be in 2 parts, and it'll be drawn out from a pattern, a PDF pattern that's printed out, pasted on. There's the post here, and then there's the face. And they will be just put together, cut out, put together, sanded up. And there will be no recess with those. They'll just plant on like so, measured and figured out where they go and plant them. I will go over those in detail a little later. So now it's time to sand up the drawer parts, the drawer fronts rather, and the drawer pulls. The fronts, I sand those guys to 320. Along these edges, though, I ease that. I don't ease it real heavily. I just want to take the sharpness off where when you feel it, it doesn't feel sharp. And also finish won't wear off on that sharp edge. The pulls, if you cut yours out identically like to the way that I did, you'll need to glue like that. If you use tabs or some other method, you probably won't have to do that. These I sand up to 600 grit. And all these edges here up on the top get just a slight ease, just taking the sharpness off. But down here, this is where your fingers grab the pull. And I ease that over much more. I kind of feel it. Make sure when you put your hands in there like that and grasp it, you don't feel anything sharp. It's all smooth. So go ahead and sand these guys up, get them all prepped, and then we will go through attaching the drawer pulls to the face like I did here. So I'm ready to attach the pulls to the drawer fronts. Before I put any glue in here, I'm going to drill a series of 3 holes. 1/8 inch holes. I'm going to put an 1/8 inch dowel in here at toenail angles to give it a little extra. 1/8 inch is kind of a small dowel. It'd never make it all the way in there before it'd break off. So I'm drilling a 64th over, 9/64. It's going to be really loose, but I'm going to put it in with epoxy, fill up that gap, give me a little more holding power. So 3 holes at 9/64 in the center there. Toenailed at angles. Okay, now we can put glue to it. Those holes I drilled are just to let me know where to put the drill from the backside when I go ahead and put those dowels in after this is all attached and the glue is dry. Okay. Give this a few minutes. We'll come back. We'll epoxy those dowels in. So the pole is glued on. I'm ready to put in those 1/8" dowels for a little added strength. First, I got to go back and find those. There we go. And then drill all the way through. I'm drilling down about 1 inch. You can see I have a mark on there with the tape. Tells me where my 1 inch is. There we go. Got it there. Okay. Now, I'm going to put on some gloves here because I am allergic to epoxy and I don't want to be one big ball of itch all day long. Been there, done that. It's no fun. Okay. Okay. Mix this stuff up. Okay, now I'm going to try to force that in there all the way down if possible. Yeah, I think I'm all the way down there. I'm going to just, as a little extra, I'm just going to roll that into some epoxy there since I have it. Okay, there we go. Oh. There, we're good. So I'll let that dry, let that cure, and then come back and clean up the back, and we're ready to put finish on this guy and the others. The non-CNC made pole consists of 2 parts, the post and the face. There's a full-size PDF, 1:1. This is the post on 3/8 material. Cut that guy out on the bandsaw, go over to the edge sander, spindle sander, and kind of clean up the cut. Same thing with the face on 1/4" material. Let's go ahead and do this. So now the inside curve here, one coming off the spindle sander, might be a little lumpy. It's a little harder to get an even surface off the spindle sander. This is a flexible sanding pad. You can get them just most anywhere. Woodcraft, Rockler, they don't have to be exactly like this. They're usually a soft pad, foam or whatever. Something bendable that you can put sandpaper around and come back to that inside curve and even out those lumps. If there's any lumps on the other side, you can do the same there as well. Inside curve again, even out those lumps. Good on the other side. Okay, now, the bottom side of the face is going to get a round over. It's that finger pull right there. I've got an 1/8 inch bit in the router table, but I've got it down a little ways. I don't want to take a full cut. I don't want to go too deep and put that round over inside the post there. So we're going to take a light cut, and then once this guy's assembled, we'll come back and hand sand that pull round over back in. So I've cleaned off the pattern that was on there and all the residue left over from the adhesive. I marked which side's going down so I'll know which one it is easily. And now it's time to glue this guy up. I got a little bit heavy there. I'm going to have some ooze out. Okay, now it's just visually what's evenly placed. There we go. Okay, micro pin nailer. Oop. There we go. I'm going to clean off some of that ooze out. I think what I'm going to do, since I had so much ooze out, I'm going to clamp this guy down and ooze out some more before I do the final clamping. Okay, really tight. Let's see if there's more ooze out. There is a little bit. Okay, now let's put this guy down for about 15 minutes and we'll take him out then. If there's any more ooze out, we can just use a little card scraper and remove it. So this guy cleaned up pretty good. So now we have to deal with mounting him to the drawer front. For the purpose of demonstration, because I'm not making it this way in reality, and I've already attached the pole to the real drawer front, we will use that piece that I used to test the opening. The drawer pulls are about an inch down. You'll have this on the drawing, and you'll have this dimension here. So you see I've taped this out. You can mount it in there, and then maybe pencil line all the way around it lightly so you can erase it later. Come back and drill those 3 holes like we did before. Then you can erase those lines, clamp and glue using these as registrations, and then come back as we did with the drawer front that I did, the CNC made one, and put those 1/8 inch dowels in with the epoxy.